Hello, Tommy. I get my promise that I'm here. I get my promise that I'm here.
I hope you feel your state.
I'm trying to help you while you're here. Trying to help. If you'd like to say anything,
It's yours.
the room is yours. The room is yours.
Welcome to Surviving Evidence with your host, Chris Cesare, and co-host, Phil Casey. Chris is a New York-based author and respected authority in the paranormal field. His survival of the C2D1 haunting ranks among the most documented paranormal events in history. Chris is known for being someone who has taken the trauma and tragedy of such an experience and turned it into a tale of hope and survival. He is joined by his wingman and longtime friend Phil Casey, who is also a native of the Empire State. Together they will bring you engaging interviews with some of the top authors, TV and radio personalities, and paranormal researchers in the field. Now here are your hosts of Surviving Evidence, Chris Cesare and Phil Casey on WGOG Digital Broadcasting.
Broadcasting live from the historic Hudson Valley of New York State. A gigantic welcome to you all. Hello to everyone listening in from across this giant spinning marble we like to call the Earth. This is Chris Cesare, the Ghost Boy of Geneseo from the Sci-Fi Network, and you're listening to Surviving Evidence on Let's Talk Radio. At my side, once again, for our weekly 2-hour adventure, this one on Thursday evening, my wingman and Secret Santa, Mr. Phil Casey.
Able to leap tall buildings if they were only 3 inches high. It's the wingman. And I want to just say it's 3 inches because that's all the vertical I have at this age in my life. And Chris, just a side note, much like my UFO piloting that I do on the side, Secret Santa, the emphasis is on the word secret.
I like the Santa part because the gifts, but that's fine. That's fine. A quick note: you can join your hosts in the Let's Talk chat room. It's a fun place to share your thoughts, ask a few questions, meet some interesting people. We'd love to see you there. So grab your binoculars, Phil. Anyone in there right now?
Let me grab my bifocals because it's about that time. I see Boris and I see Kathleen and I see some guy named Chris Cesare in there too. I don't know about that guy. You got to watch that guy.
Oh, good. He's no good. You know, it's kind of like that 70s show Romper Room. You know, I see Kathleen, I see Boris, I see a lawsuit.
And on that note, I'm out. I see nothing.
Yeah, play possum, Phil, play possum. Well, before we introduce our first guest this evening, it's going to be an excellent show. Phil and I want to express our ongoing thanks to Mr. Todd Bates, the general manager of the network. He's a gentleman who produces our show, runs the chat room, and creates the majority of advertising. But most importantly, he finally solved the whole what color is that internet dress thing? Remember that when everyone was the dress black and blue? Was it white and gold? Todd's answer was, I really don't give a Jeez.
Todd, that's one of the things we like. It gets right to the point, but thank God for the censor button.
Yes, we want to call your attention to some of the other fine programs that are hosted here on Let's Talk Radio. On Tuesday nights, John Topin, along with his guest host, Josh LaJeunesse, bring you Keeping the Spirits Alive. We have 9 p.m., the ever-knowledgeable Phil Roll, who, along with he, the Velvet Voice, Todd Bates, hosts Haunted Voices Radio. Alabama's own Kat Hobson is hosting Paranormal Experienced, which airs Wednesday evenings at 8 p.m., and Fate Magazine Radio is now moved to a new time slot Friday evening. And if you're looking for a radio show that will get you prepped and in a good mood for your busy work week, the talented and gifted Ariel Grace hosts a Gang of Girls Radio every Sunday night at 9 Eastern. But most of all, we want to thank you, our listeners, who tune in each and every week and in droves to see what kind of trouble we're up to now. We'd love you right back.
Yeah, we want to take the time to thank everybody who took time out of their busy day or night, depending on where you are, to take this 2-hour journey with us.
You asked for it, you got it. Let's Talk Radio. And hey, Phil, guess what time it is?
It's time for Chris and Phil's most excellent adventure.
Yes and no, mostly yes. It's time for tonight's first guest. She is a world-renowned actor, author, model, and performer. She is universally recognized as the teen actress who brought charm, grace, dialects, and dark curly hair to 80s cinema. Starting her acting career at the age of 10, our special guest began with modeling, theater, commercials, voiceover, and soap opera work. She then won the lead role of the dream girl Karen in the cult classic The Last American Virgin, and soon after played the daughter Patricia Montelli in Amityville 2, The Possession. Her breakout film role was the unconventional and spirited French exchange student Monique Junot from the comedy Better Off Dead. Remember that one, Phil?
One of my all-time favorite movies as a teen. So many great lines came from that movie. Some that inspired I Want My $2. And one that inspired me, I think the most, is I think all you need is a small taste of success, and you will see it suits you. Her most notable commercial success was playing the medieval princess babe, Joanna, in the 1980 iconic comedy Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
She sang the national anthem at Dodger Stadium in 2004 and wrote an autobiography about her career as an actress in 2012 titled Diane Franklin, The Excellent Adventures of the Last American French Exchange Babe of the 80s, available on Amazon and Kindle.
This year, she's out with another book which talks about the beauty of curly hair and how she inadvertently kickstarted the curly hair trend of the 80s. The new book is titled Diane Franklin, The Excellent Curls of the Last American French Exchange Babe of the 80s, also available on Amazon and BarnesandNoble.com.
Her other acting credits include episodic television such as Charles in Charge, Murder, She Wrote, Matlock, and Dallas the Early Years. She also recurred in television series and movies made for television such as Summer Girl and Deadly Lessons. Over the years, our guest has also performed in her daughter, filmmaker Olivia De Laurentiis' award-winning comedies, Humanized, LA Film Festival, My Better Half, Soho Film Festival, and more recently a comedy web series on YouTube titled Sugar Babies, Barely Legal Comedy. And she is very excited to return to the big screen this year with four new feature films: While I Got Wasted, Waking Nightmare, The Final Interview, and The Haunting on Long Island, The Amityville Murders. Be ready for some totally excellent fun. Ladies and gentlemen, the one, the only, Diane Franklin. Welcome, Diane.
Wow, what an intro. Well, you're all excellent. That's what I have to say. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. It's fun to read because I'm a little older now, and as you get older, you begin to put things in the back of your head to learn new things. And when you hear a certain sound, look at a certain word, have a certain memory, it really brings back some times of youth when the world's your oyster, you know. And I want to thank you for coming on the show tonight. I didn't get to speak with you at the AuthorCon event in New York. You know, that happens sometimes. We meet people, we sign things, we talk with people, but I regret not speaking with you because every person that I know who speaks with you says you're a spectacular human being in an industry not known for that sometimes. You know, sometimes people don't do that, but everyone says you're incredible. So my first question for you, it's like a softball, right? Is this. When
yeah, I think sometimes it's just funny meeting people. I really enjoy meeting everyone, and there are some actresses who are out there like who do, but I guess some actors don't. So there runs a problem. But go ahead.
You know, here's the question for you: when did you make a choice, or why did you make the choice to be such a nice person?
Oh my gosh! Can I just say that is a wonderful question, and that is actually bizarrely one of the main reasons I became an actress. Strangely, you asked that, but at a very young age, when I wanted to act, I wound up like I think it was probably around 14 or 15. I got an extra job on the film Endless Love. I was, an actress. I was doing modeling and commercials, but I hadn't done any film, and I really wasn't. I just did little tiny jobs, and I hadn't done anything really, that I could say like, come and watch me in anything. I had not done any film or anything, but this was my first job on a film. It was playing an extra, and it's with Brooke Shields. And I had actually done a little modeling with her when I was younger. And so when I came to the set, she was there, and I asked her if she could take a picture with me because that was a big deal. And she was on set, and Franco Zeffirelli, the director, was so nice to her, and I was watching him work with her and for the scene, and she's just so beautiful, and she was so nice. And then she said, "Oh yes, of course we could take a picture," and she was really nice. And I mean, even though I had kind of knew her before, I didn't really know her. And
right.
And after I had worked on that job, she was so nice, and I thought, you know what? I don't need to act anymore because one of the main things I thought was I want to be a nice actress. I don't want to be a jerk actress, I want to be somebody like, why can't you just be an actress but also be nice? Like, why do you have to always have drama or be, troubled or be broken or go into recovery or whatever? Why can't it just be like a nice person who acts? And she was that, or she is that, you know? And so when I saw her and I did that job, I remember thinking, well, I guess I don't need to do it. And I almost stopped pursuing acting. Like I actually went and thought, okay, maybe I'll just be a biochemist, or I'll just skip it. Maybe that's just, it's done. I don't need to. And then it was funny. Like I did that job, and then maybe like next day I woke up and I thought, you know, there's room for more than one. You know, there's room for more. So that's what got me to continue to act. I really thought, okay, you know what? Just because I met somebody who is a nice person, like you know, why can't I just continue that? So I do think it's important, you know, and I don't mean be fake nice. I mean be like grateful and, you know, be grateful and be humble. You know, I just think that's important.
You know, and a lot of people who look at your work and look at the films you were in, and they really are drawn to your character. And I know that the curls are beautiful. I know that, you know, you spend a lot of time. But the thing is, like Jack Nicholson, for example, he's a little bit off. But that's good because the characters are off. The characters you play, people love. And I think because they sense that's you there. And when your character's empathetic, it's because you're empathetic. And I really think that's my opinion. And you can correct me if I'm wrong. I think that desire to be nice shows through.
I definitely think you can't play something that you don't know. And I also think that, you know, I mean, yourself comes through. And I also think you can play things that if you were in that situation, what would you do? You know, so maybe I did this movie the week called Summer Girl, and I had to play someone who is schizophrenic. And that's not to say I'm schizophrenic, but I have a great imagination, and I actually can. I think it's fun to play characters that are bad, because I wouldn't play that in real life. You know, I wouldn't murder somebody in my real life, but I think it's, you know, it's fun to play someone who's, I don't know, like just to me, using my imagination and also just committing, it's just really fun. So maybe it's the enjoyment of acting that also helps, you know, make those portrayals real. But I do think, honestly, when I play something, I put my heart into it, and I put a lot of love in it too, whether I play, you know, someone evil or play somebody nice. I just think what's really, really fun about acting to me is, and what I feel fortunate about is, you know, in life, when you feel stressful or you feel unhappy, you sometimes have no place to go with it. And as an actress, you can go to your work. You can go, okay, I'm going to take this moment and I'm going to bring it to this scene, or I'm going to bring it to this character. And to me, that is, I think it's just awesome to take something that one would perceive negative and you take it and you bring it to a positive. So anyway, but I appreciate it. Yes, I think I've been married and I don't even do the math, but I'm married to one person, and I've married to my husband since 1989. And, you know, I think he's happy. So I think I'm a lovable person, I guess. I don't know. I'll have to say, like, I'm, you know, a good person, you know.
I raise this note to self: Diane will not kill people. Okay, I got that in my journal now.
Right,
so,
exactly, right. Don't worry, I will not kill you. Absolutely.
Well, someone who did meet you was my friend Phil Casey. And I know he's waiting like a student at last day of school to speak with you. So, Phil, welcome aboard.
Thanks, Chris.
Hi, Phil.
Hi, Diane. I had the privilege to meet you. It was an honor. You are. I couldn't have talked enough about what a great person you were to Chris, and just a phenomenal, very welcoming.
Thank you. And by the way, anybody who comes to see me, like at any of these conventions that I do, it's like I just am really grateful, and like, even like, I know other actresses, like when I do these conventions, I ask my other friends who are actresses to come, and it's just like, there are these group of actresses in the 80s that are so nice and so grateful. I mean, I don't know, Phil, it's like, you know, like, I mean, Amanda Wyss and, oh my gosh, I'm just trying to think, like Jill Schulin, Suzanne Snyder, Heather Langenkamp, like such nice people. I'm just putting it out there, like, just for everybody to know, it's not fake. It's like real nice people. Even Catherine Mary Stewart, lovely. Like, we're just really nice, kind, cool people. But anyway, keep going.
Yes, it was very refreshing because you're very approachable, which makes it very, very fan friendly in that aspect. I have you kind of answered this question a little bit, but I want to dive into it a little more. What made you want to pursue a career in acting?
Ever since I was really little, 4 years old, I loved singing, dancing, and acting. Like, I just loved doing it. Some people say, like, they dream of being a star. That wasn't what I was thinking. I do remember thinking I want to be on TV, like, because TV was my place. That's what I grew up watching. Like, my parents didn't go to the theater. They did take me to the opera once in a while. I took ballet. I took singing. I took dancing. But it was all because I enjoyed that process. And but I watched TV, and I just remember there was a show called That Girl with Marlo Thomas, and she played an actress, and I just identified with her. She had this dark hair, and like, nobody was dark haired at the time, and she was so happy. There was something about her character on TV that I bonded with, and so it was, I don't know, I just had this feeling. And so what happened was my parents were like German and Austrian immigrants, and they would talk like this. They would, like, what do we do with this child? Like, I was just like dancing and singing around, and they just said, I just kept wanting it for so long, and eventually they took me to an age when I was 4, and it didn't work out, and then they took me again when I was 10 because I just didn't give up. I just was into it. But I think it's just the pure love of doing it, and I just didn't give up. I just was like a little turtle, just taking the step towards doing it, and the process, I love doing it. So, and that's not to say that, when I went on auditions, I didn't get disappointed, or I didn't go, it wasn't sad, that I didn't get something. But I think I just saw it as part of the process, like that's just what you do. And I went to a public school, and I did the school plays. I participated in regular school events. I couldn't join a sports team. That was the only thing. I remember I liked running, but I couldn't join any teams because I had auditions after school. But that was, I really didn't, I just was the life. I didn't even think of it in any other way. So, and my parents just listened. I have to say that a big part of being successful is that you've got somebody on your side who's going to take you on auditions when you're younger, or, you get old enough to go and be able to do it on your own. But I would have to say, if you were going to be an actor, you have to be very self-driven, and you have to just enjoy the process and not take the rejection seriously, in a way. Like, okay, you wanted to get that, it's a disappointment, what's next? And so you don't sit on it, so you move to the next audition. So, I mean, if anybody's an actor out there, I would say that's that's like an important piece of what the lifestyle is like.
We're going to come up here on our first break in a couple of minutes, but I just, okay. You mentioned your family. They were very supportive of you pursuing acting. Yes, my parents, yeah. And they were like, they weren't at all, like, that wasn't their thing. Again, like, my dad was like a printer and my mom was a homemaker. But I just wanted to do it, and I think I just showed enough, and, energy and positive, I worked hard at what I did, that they went, okay, we'll take you. I wasn't one of those kids that said, I want to, be an actor, feed me, like, make it happen to feed my ego. I was one of those kids, like, I want to act. Like, I would act out things, like, by myself. You know what I mean? Like, or I'd play music and I'd be dancing in the living room. Like, it was it was a joy. And I think when a parent sees a child have a joy in whatever they do, they want to help facilitate that. Yeah, I'm a firm believer of you have to love what you do, or it's not worth doing. And you absolutely radiate. You absolutely radiate that. Radiate.
Aw, thank you.
So you're welcome. We're coming up on about a minute here, but I just really quick, I wanted to ask, and maybe we can crunch this answer. What's your favorite medium? Was it theater? Was it movies? Was it TV?
Oh, okay. All right. So here's the thing. Theater, I found, okay, theater is great as an actor because you're pushing yourself to like do character work that's, like you're pushing yourself and you're getting into the material and you have time to develop it. But I wasn't crazy about theater because when you end a show, and I've done plays, it's sad. It's sad because it's over. And I can't even tell you how many times, like I direct plays now, it's like the last day is sad because you want to keep doing it. And so that's my only problem with theater, is that it's over, and usually in at least my old days, you couldn't tape it. So my favorite medium is film. Although the only thing I would love to do, and I did it in short spurts, was I was recurring in some TV shows, but I would love to do, I'd love to be on a show. Like, as an example, like Stranger Things, it'd be an amazing experience to be on a show and then just recur or be on the show, you're a regular, that would be an amazing experience, personally for me. And I hope that, I'll get that opportunity because work's coming up now. So who knows? Maybe
That's
we'll see
awesome.
on a series.
All right. So you're listening to Let's Talk Radio in Clearwater, Florida, and we'll be right back in 2 minutes.
Can we talk?
Stations in the world, we're one of them. WGOG Digital Broadcasting. Let's talk.
Grow your business. At Signorama, we offer customized solutions for signs, branding, marketing, and advertising. We have a full range of custom sign and graphic services to meet your needs, build your brand, and create your image. Look around and you'll see how our specialists help businesses enhance their visibility and get noticed. Let us work with you to understand your unique marketing goals and help you reach them. Signorama, the way to grow your business. Meet with an expert at your local Signorama or visit us online anytime.
Depression, anxiety, and insomnia can cause a lot of heartache and stress in a family or group of friends. And those heartaches only multiply when the symptoms are a byproduct of a bigger health concern, like cancer, PTSD, Parkinson's, or drug and alcohol dependency. And in the past, treatments for depression, anxiety, and insomnia were only moderately effective. But now there's a new therapy called Nexalin. Nexalin is a simple medical device that stimulates the midbrain. Nexalin is safe and an effective FDA-cleared drug-free treatment for depression, anxiety, and insomnia with no serious side effects. And Nexalin is proven effective in reducing symptoms in over 80% of patients treated. For information and a free confidential consultation, call 847-865-3216 or visit NexalinRelief.com. That's 847-865-3216 or visit NexalinRelief.com.
Since 1948, Fate magazine has delivered a one-of-a-kind reading experience, covering everything from psychics, UFOs, paranormal investigations, and more. To subscribe, visit fatemag.com or call 828-702-3032. That's 828-702-3032. Subscribe and find your true reports of the strange and unknown at fatemag.com.
Talk is our business, and business is good.
WGOG Clearwater. Let's talk.
And we are back. You're listening to Surviving Evidence, And if you're just joining us, you're speaking to actress, author, and icon Diane Franklin. And Diane, during the break, and this always seems to happen, we had a discussion about labeling expectations, and I mentioned to you very briefly that as a college student, I was labeled the Ghost Boy of Geneseo. I don't like it, and I had to learn to accept that that's what people viewed me as. And you mentioned that that's not such a bad idea sometimes.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I'm so glad you brought this up, because it is time and time again I've seen this happen with actresses. You know, when you are acting in the business today, like let's say women of my age, okay, you're acting in business, they're constantly told by their agent, by press people, don't bring up the past, don't go back to the past, just stay current. Like, you did that work, but you don't want to be labeled for that. But the thing is that if you have any recognition at all, I don't know, I never got that. Like, to me, it's like the past is about reminiscing, and it takes people back to their childhood or whenever they saw it, you know? That's and so I think for me, if people label me, well, then that's great, because what they're doing is they're identifying me. They're understanding where I fit in the big picture. Okay. So let's say somebody says, okay, you know, she's an 80s babe. I mean, I'm certainly I put that phrase in because I looked at my career when I started writing my books, and I said, well, how could you identify me? Who was I? Like, I mean, if you were trying to tell a friend who this person is, how could you identify me? And, you know, I didn't have a real, my name wasn't that, I didn't have a publicist then, so my name is not that recognizable, but people recognize me for my face. And so I thought, oh, well, there was an 80s babe. Okay, like, oh, that's kind of what it is, right? And so if somebody else had coined me that, maybe I would have been offended. But the fact that I coined myself, I'm like, no, I can understand that. So what's interesting is, when you're called the Ghost Boy, it's like people will be able to identify you. Then you take that and you go, that and. So as an example, like, okay, I'm an 80s babe, but it also doesn't limit me. It's just I'm also adding to it. So, for instance, now, like, I'm an 80s babe, but I'm also adding today, my work today. So there will be people who will you know, there might be people who will watch me now in films and they'll go, okay, what is she doing now? There might be people who go, oh, I wish that she was like she used to be. Or they might go, oh, wow, like, this is so cool that she can do this also. Or then there might be people who have no idea who I am, and they go, oh, wait, she was that 80s actress, and now she's that lady. Wait, now she's that mom. Okay, that's kind of interesting, you know? So, it's just, I think we have to remember that when you're doing entertainment, you are servicing the world. You are, it's not about you. I'd love to say, yes, it's, you know, acting, maybe you come from like people who are actors, they do it for themselves, right? Maybe to start off, but truly it's about giving back to the world. Everyone has a job to do, and we all do. Some people fix cars, some people, you know, do taxes, some people, you know, waitress, some people play sports, and an actor is somebody who gives to the world, and their job is to, you know, play characters that speak to people, and if they do speak to people, you will remember them. And that's the gift.
Yes,
so
and all jobs are relevant, right?
Right.
And every job is relevant. And remember the late, great Leonard Nimoy, he played Spock in Star Trek. You know, he wrote a book. He said, I am not Spock. He didn't realize that to so many thousands and millions of people, that's who he was. And his character brought them joy and hope for a future, a better world. And later on, he wrote a second book saying, I am Spock. And people, yay! Yeah. So you're right. I think even a person, if they're well-intentioned, if they're intelligent, there's still that balance. You're right. We have to go from saying, what do I want versus what do people need?
What's the world need? Honestly, I mean, look, I could, you know, when you talk about the Spock thing, I mean, obviously he's not Spock. Otherwise he'd be like maybe schizophrenic. He doesn't understand who he is, right? You're yourself. But if you don't understand, like, all I can say is, look, Marla Thomas is not that girl. She's not that character, but her character spoke to me, and that gave me hope. Right? And so Monique Genet gives people hope, or they fall in love, or, you know, like, to me, I think that's an amazing role model. favorite characters, Monique, when I look like this. It's very strange. We have to make a French girl who and cannot be American, who has a sense of femininity, but also can do a boy's job, you know? So, so it is amazing.
Absolutely. I know Phil has a question about a certain character you played as well.
Oh, well, ironically, it's Monique Junot. As stated earlier, one of my favorite movies was Better Off Dead, so I guess we could have all guessed I was going to go there. But what went into it was a mesmerizing performance for me of that character. There were, again, a lot of great lines that came out of that movie that inspired not only myself but a lot of teenagers. But what went into playing that character who's supposed to be a French foreign exchange student?
I so wanted that role. I remember going for that, and the reason why I wanted it was I really felt that I play it better than anyone. And I don't say that egotistically. I just say it because I loved that character so much, and I just knew her, and I knew that I could bring, you know, actors have to bring you have to have something to say. When you act, like, yeah, you're doing the lines, but maybe you know what love is, maybe you know what pride is, maybe you know what anger is, whatever you know as a person, you bring to your roles. And with Monique, I really loved the ability to be able to do things, be capable. You know, she's really capable, and she wasn't mean or bitchy, but she stood up for herself, and I think women really identified with that character. And also, but I also thought she was feminine. I didn't feel like, you know, I had to be a tomboy. I mean, what I was doing maybe was what a tomboy does, but not the way I portrayed it. So I really felt I had something important, and I don't know, it just felt, I knew what to say as that character. I did not have any idea that it would be popular, nor that anyone would even see the movie. You know, you do a movie and you don't know. So you have no idea, at certainly during that time, if anything was going to come out in the theaters at all, or let alone be remembered, you know, now. I just feel very proud of that role modeling. And also because of that film, and I loved it, it's probably my favorite film. I mean, I loved working on a lot of the films I did, and I have special feelings for and fondness for the films I did. But that film, I'm going to write another book. My next book, I'm going to start next year, is going to be an ode to Better Off Dead. And when I went to these conventions, I brought the coat from Better Off Dead that I wore in the film, and I asked people to wear it. And so now I'm going to make a book with every person who's ever worn this coat in the book. So next year, if you get a Facebook message from me and say, send me a picture of the coat, I will I'll put it in the book. So it's going to be very cool. So I'm going to start working on it next year. Won't be done next year, but
that's awesome. And I did actually. I was privileged enough to take a picture in that coat. And let's just say I'm not a little guy, but that coat was really kind of loose. So
right, it's the best coat. But
it was a very awesome experience.
A great memory, right?
Yes, absolutely. It was a very awesome experience. And to know that the possibility of someone's going to see this ugly mug in a book. I always say I have the face for radio.
It's a great trip.
Absolutely. Sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I thought you were going to go on with that. I just really wanted to ask about another movie that you played in. You played the Princess Babe and Joanna in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Yes.
Also, another one of my favorite 80s movies. And there were a few installments of that. Is there any truth to the rumor there might be another installment to that?
Yes. Okay, there's going to be a Bill and Ted's 3. I know that they are having the only thing that's standing in the way of making it, I think, is some kind of legal questions about the ability to make it. I know that Keanu's on board. Alex is on board. I think in the script there is mention of the princesses, but I don't know if we will be the princesses. Hopefully, knock on wood. If there's anyone, please knock on wood right now, because of course Kimberly and I would love to be back, and that would be amazing. Bill and Ted's 3, and so we're just hoping that would be something amazing, and we just love working with those guys. So who knows? We'll see. believe me, we've been excited about it as well.
That I am excited about that too. Those are some great movies in there. We're a little bit away from a break, so I just want to ask really quick. We kind of touched off base about Amityville 2. You played a young girl in that movie, and you have another installment of that coming out as well?
Yes. Okay, so this is a really exciting thing. For some reason, I don't know, like in the last year and a half, I was offered roles in films. I mean, I've been raising my kids, and so my kids are now older, and they're in college, and so I was able to have a little bit more time, and so I started auditioning a little bit more, and I was able to do these films, and all 4 of them are coming out next year. And the one that I think is going to be the most, like say popular or, in the theater is this film called The Haunting on Long Island, The Amityville Murders. And so originally I played the daughter in 1983, I think the film came out. And it was the second Amityville Possession. And the director, Daniel Ferrand, saw this film when he was like 12, which I don't know, he was kind of young to see it, but regardless, he saw it. And he got so scared, and he loved that film so much that he actually did a documentary on the Amityville murders, like the actual murders, the real story. So he not only did a documentary of the Amityville murders, but he also then produced a film called The Haunting in Connecticut. So he's a filmmaker and a film writer, but he also did the documentary, so he has tremendous knowledge about what happened to Amityville. So he decided he wanted to do another Amityville film based on the true story that happened of the real murders. In 1974, I think, that was when Ronnie DeFeo in Long Island, in Amityville, Long Island, murdered his entire family. And he knew the whole story. Now, here's the brilliant thing you are only knowing, because like I haven't told anybody this story yet, but basically what happened was I had an agent who books me for conventions. His name is Scott Ray, and he kind of like looks out for me. And so what happened was he saw that Daniel Ferrand was interested in making Amityville the sort of the remake of the movie that I did, and was interested in, he really liked me and in the film, and he was interested in, I don't even know how he knew this, but of me perhaps playing the role of Louise DeFeo. So my manager called me and said, or my agent called me and said, you have to contact Daniel Ferrand. And I'm like, why? I've never spoken to him. I don't know what you're talking about. He goes, just call him. Trust me. Like, he didn't even tell me that the audition was going to happen or anything, like, or that, he was interested. He just said, there's this director. He wants to work with you. Just call him. Like, so I called the director cold, and I was like, hi, hello. This is Diane Franklin. I don't know if you know who I am. And I just heard you wanted to talk to me. And so Daniel Ferrand goes, oh my gosh, Diane, I want you to play Louise DeFeo. And I mean, that is unbelievable. I just burst into tears. I was like, are you kidding me? I mean, this is just out of the blue that this director has seen this film. And if it wasn't for my agent who saw this, it would never have happened. I would have never done the film because that connection needed to be made. And so then Daniel was such a huge fan of mine, and he had me come in, and I had to audition because obviously, no one knew if I could really act. All my other stuff hasn't come out yet. They didn't know if I could act or not. And yeah, I mean, like, or I could play the mom, like this role was not written for me. It was like sort of a big Italian mama. And that's not me. Like, I was like, how am I going to do this? And I just thought, okay, I have to show them what I can do. I got to not, just give it my all because I wanted the part so badly. I know these women like the back of my hand. It's 1974 Long Island. I'm from Plainview, Long Island. I know these people. I was like, I can do this. And I went in, and the audition was unbelievable. It was such a, like, the producer was there, and the casting people were there, and I did such an amazing audition that they like they all clapped, and then the director came and he hugged me, and he was like crying for like 5 minutes and saying, oh my God, you are my Louise. And I was like, oh my God, this is unbelievable. So this film that's coming out is for this haunting. I strongly recommend people see it. Personally, I mean, it's an amazing film. Even if I wasn't in it, it's so scary. The work is unbelievable. We were walking around during the filming and saying, oh my God, like, I can't believe you did that scene. That was amazing. So the word on set was like hot. And then it's the best work I've ever done in my life. So, I mean, I actually have seen I had to do looping, or dubbing, I'm sorry. And, cause I lost my voice for like a day, of filming, and I had to go in, and I didn't even recognize myself. So just letting you know, it's intense. It's like you'll never, it's like incredible. And, I think it's the best work I've ever done in my life. You know, if you get scared, don't see it. You don't want to see something scary.
Well, you mentioned your work, and you mentioned like not recognizing yourself sometimes. Some people like to watch their work. Some don't. I was watching this afternoon a 1979 soft and pretty bathroom tissue commercial, and you mentioned there are 9 kinds: prints, pastels, greens. I thought it was hilarious. Looking back over the years, do you like to watch your stuff, or don't really like to watch your stuff?
It depends. Well, you know, I think it just depends. I think what's really nice is if I watch something I haven't done in a long time, then I can watch it like a stranger, you know, like what? So I can laugh about something I did, or I can go, oh, like, wow, like I remember that, experiencing that. So it's kind of fun. I also think sometimes when I watch myself, I'm a lot better than I thought I was. Like I'll watch them and go, oh my God, that was like really good. I really like that. Whereas sometimes I think when you do something, it's hard to be, sometimes you can't watch it because it's too close to you, you know? I think it just depends. I think I'm objective enough to be able to watch things, and I watch it in the context of the story, which is why I can watch it. Like I go, did I service the story? Is this making sense? And if it didn't, then I go, well, it'll give people a good laugh, you know?
Do you self-critique?
But you do see my life, you know, I mean, from soft and pretty, you know, to like, as I've gone through my career, I think how many actresses are still acting, you know, and have
very
grown,
few,
and
your longevity is incredible,
grow.
Diane. Your longevity is incredible.
Yeah.
Do you self-critique? Do you think that helps or no?
Oh, yeah. Well, I've learned, and also I teach acting. So what I think is when I watch something, I can look at it and I can absolutely say how to fix it now and to work on it. Whereas I think before, maybe when I was younger, I didn't know what to do. I had no idea, you know. So I think obviously the more you do something, the better you get at it. And also I think you got to love it, and then you go deeper into it, you know. I teach kids and I coach also. When I work with kids, my main objective is to really find out what their language, where they're coming from, and then to get connected to what they're doing, to get them connected to the material. And I just think, you know, I think now I don't know. My work has exploded. I think only because I'm looking at it from a different perspective as an adult, you know. And I think when I was a kid and you're doing it, it's just hard to be objective. I think sometimes, right? You know,
well, I think
you don't have that much information,
then, right? Probably more raw talent now. You have experience, but you're a kid. It's almost raw talent. As you get older, it's more wisdom, correct? Experience.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I also, it's like dating, you know, when you date when you're young, you're like, you don't know any difference. So there's this beautiful experience, like I'm falling in love, and it's great. It's just great. Everybody around you is going, oh my God, no.
Right.
No.
What do we say?
Like, it's just great. And so
right.
it's wonderful wings, right? Then you get older and you're like, oh my gosh, I would never have done that. What was wrong with me? Like, or you know what I'm saying, right? So you can't, but you have to go through that falling in love stage. You have to. Right. You have to fall deeply in love and break up, and like you have to do all that, because if you don't, you're like, you have to live life, you know, and you can't take shortcuts. You have to live life, and the more you live it, and the more you have heartbreak, I'm telling you, people, or like pain in your life, you become a deeper person. You become a bigger person. You know, you can't look at your sorrows as something that you have to avoid or get away from. You have to say, you know what? This is making me a stronger person. It's making me more knowledgeable. I'm able to help other people even deeper. You know, and then, or maybe if you have a lot of pain in your life, you say, okay, you know what? Some people want to they just don't see any hope. And if you're somebody who's gone through pain and you go, you know what? You go through the door and you will come out the other side. Like you can survive. Just hang on. Just don't do anything irrational. Don't think in the moment. Take a deep breath, and wait, go through it. So I don't know. I have a very, I think my perspective on life is a survivor, of someone who is, people would say, I'm not blindly optimistic. I think I work on happiness. I think happiness is important, and you have to pursue it, and you have to choose it. Do you know what I mean?
I do. And Diane, when we get back, I'm going to ask you
go for it.
A tough question after our next break. And the question's going to be for our listeners when you get back. Okay. Was there a particular director that you really enjoyed working with or listening to? We're speaking with Miss Diane Franklin, Surrounding Evidence Radio on Let's Talk Radio, Clearwater, Florida. Be right back.
Listen to other stations, but want to thank you for choosing ours. WGOG Digital Broadcasting. Let's talk. Haunted, a psychic story by author and radio host Ariel Grace. This is not your average book of hauntings. Haunted, a psychic story is written from a psychic perspective and contains true stories and some handy tips. Written in 3 parts, Haunted, a Psychic Story contains chilling adventures, advice from the archangels, and helpful tips used by Ariel Grace to clear haunted homes around the globe. Haunted, a Psychic Story is available on Amazon, or you can download straight to your Kindle. Haunted, a Psychic Story by Ariel Grace. Get your copy today. Nothing feels better than a good cleanse to wash away the day. If you think that refreshes you, then experience the ultimate cleanse with Soaps by Susan. Cleansing Spiritually LLC uses only pharmaceutical-grade essential oils, all-natural shea butter, coconut oils, and vitamin E, and tailored toward the ultimate cleanse. Susan uses a skin-safe fragrance with an aroma that brings a smile to your face and takes you to that happy place within. Each bar is handcrafted and custom to order, so it not only cleanses the soul, but also matches your room's decor. Cleansing Spiritually soap makes great gifts, or you can just indulge yourself for a spiritual cleansing you'll never forget. You want some now, don't you? We thought so. Contact Susan Todd to place your custom order at facebook.com/spiritually. Don't settle for clean. Get spiritually clean at facebook.com/spiritually. Keep your online visitors engaged with Rumble Talk chat service. With over 2 million chatters on over 200,000 websites, Rumble Talk is a proven professional chat room service. With an easy-to-install Rumble Talk chat room, you can share rich media, chat on the go from your mobile phone or tablet, integrate on popular social media pages, blogs, mobile apps, and websites. Add a stylish HTML5 Rumble Talk chat room theme or create your own custom Rumble Talk chat room. Rumble Talk gives you the ability to control any aspect of your chat room's appearance, images, colors, backgrounds, borders and fonts, and overall style. With Rumble Talk's easy account management, you can manage all your Rumble Talk chat rooms from one account. Now that you've found your chat room solution, visit rumbletalk.com for your free 7-day trial today. Your visitors are waiting. Rumble Talk chat service. rumbletalk.com. From our studios to the world, here comes more great programming on WGOG Digital Broadcasting.
All right, we are back, and you are listening to Let's Talk Radio in Clearwater, Florida. We want to thank our guest, Diane Franklin, who you've totally made my year, Diane. I just want to say that. I thank you so much for doing this. Earlier, before we went on break, Chris had asked you about a favorite director. Now, is there one?
Oh, now, seriously, okay, this is so tricky. Okay, all right, it's not tricky. Okay, here's what it is. I would say my favorite director has to be Savage Steve Holland. But I also really have, my recent director, Daniel Ferrand, has also been somebody that I've loved working with. But I'll tell you why. Savage is amazing. Steve Holland is the role model director, okay? And if anybody wants to become a director, you must research him and watch what he does, because this is what is so amazing about Savage. Well, first of all, he does do comedy, but what's great about him is that he is so kind to his crew, and he never treats anybody like he's above them. And no matter what position they are, he is gracious, and he is he's demanding, and he knows what he wants, but he knows he has great people skills, and I think that's really important as a director. So even if a director knows what they want, that doesn't mean they have to be a jerk. Do you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. It's no excuse. Like, they can be very specific and they can know what they want, but that doesn't mean they take it out on people around them. I think sometimes what happens with directors is they don't have the time, and they just bark. They may bark at people around them, and I've seen with crew, because they feel the pressure themselves. But when you feel the pressure, of the world around you, you're actually not being the leader. Do you understand what I'm saying? A real leader is somebody who, you have pressure, but you stop it right there. Like, you say it, okay, fine, I got this going on, and now I'm not going to let it go through me. I'm going to be kind to the people around me, because if you are nice to those around you, you will get people on your side and wanting to help you. Do you know what I'm saying? But if you bark at people are going to not want to help you, and they're going to avoid you. Do you understand? And that, I think, is in life, where if you take the time that you don't, I think it's an energy thing almost, like it's like if you're with somebody who's angry with you, and you get that anger, and then you turn around to be angry to somebody else, you're passing that anger energy to someone. Do you understand? Mm-hmm. You need to be a strong person and stop, like when the buck stops here, I don't even know what the expression is, stop here, whatever, and you say, like, no, and then you go, okay, I'm going to take that information, but I'm going to put it in a positive way. I think that's a way where, if you're conscious of it, your life is going to turn around, because people will want to, they want to work with you. It's just a positive thing. And Savage, the set, I mean, we were laughing, and we were having such a great time. The actors were improvising, because we felt so comfortable and relaxed, because that's from him, okay? And he's been that way his whole life. Like, that's just who he is. And with Daniel Ferrand, which is interesting, Daniel, very technical, very detail-oriented. This guy knows exactly what he wants. And I really respect that, and I really like that. And he can articulate it, and he can say what it is. I think that, so, like, for me at my age, I could make what he wants to happen. I don't know if that's something that, like, if he worked with somebody maybe younger or less experienced, if they'd be able to handle that or understand that. Because sometimes, like, if a director tells you to do something specific, you don't know how to access it from yourself necessarily when you're younger, and if you don't know how to access it, then you get scared. So I think for directors who are more like detail, and they like know what they want, they may do better with older actors, because older actors, or at least more experienced actors, know how to access it. So that's just a little point in reference about, like, directing, and how when you are a director, what your actors are looking for. They do want specific things. Sometimes directors go, I mean, Savage was like, okay, go do it, and we'll see what happens, because he was just of that nature where he liked and allowed improv, sort of, and I mean, you stuck to the script, but you could add what you wanted, and he appreciated it. So as an actor, you love when you add to something, and the director goes, yeah, you love that. I mean, that's like the reason for, acting. You just love putting your 2 cents in there, or $2, right?
That's it.
Right. So, but not every director likes that. Some directors are like, I mean, certainly in television, you have to know your lines. You have maybe 1 or 2 takes. That's it. So you better nail it at the beginning because that's your only chance. But in film, you have a little more room to play. And I don't know. I think, if you're asking about directors, the love of a director comes from their understanding of how to work with the actors. And if the director doesn't have a lot of experience working with actors, I would have to say they just are not very, they don't give a lot of compliments. They don't spend a lot of time on the take. They'll just go, okay, next shot. So no, actors, if you got your job to do, get it so that you are ready to do your perfect take the first time, because you may, in today's world, not be able to do a second take or a third. You just don't know, unless, and I'm talking about, I guess in the world of quick entertainment now. So anyway.
Yeah, I just really quick, I just want to say hello to Barry and Andrew and Michael, who just joined us in the chat room a little while ago. We've got a bunch of fans in there listening to Diane. Diane, what are some of your upcoming projects? And then I'm going to so we can get into some of those.
Got it. Okay, so just letting you know, for film, I have a film called While I Got Wasted, and that is sort of like a weekend at Bernie's with older, guys in their 20s, and the actor and the writer of the film is Adam Ward, who I did a pilot with, or a pilot for, years ago, and so I'm in his film, and I do a cameo. And that's really funny. So that's a comedy. And that's basically, a scene. And then I did a movie called The Waking Nightmare, which I'm not sure when it's coming out, but it's an amazing role. Everyone's going to freak out when they see me in it. It's going to have the line, there's going to be lines in it that I think people are going to repeat. It's going to be I'll be back, sort of an Arnold Schwarzenegger thing going on. It's intense. And Wicked Nightmare is a story of a girl who commits murders in her sleep. And the girl who plays my daughter is Shelley Regner, and she plays Ashley in all the Pitch Perfect movies. She's one of the Bellas. So she's wonderful in the film. She just did an amazing job. So proud of her. Great acting. And it's so enjoyable to act with her. It was great. We had a great time. And David Naughton, who was in American Werewolf in London.
That's right.
He plays a doctor in the film, and he was great to work with. I had never worked with him. And then Jamison Newlander plays my husband, and he's I'm going to say hilarious because I loved his character, and it was so funny. But it's not a funny character. But when you see it, you'll understand why I say it's funny. He's awesome. He just did a great job. We had great chemistry, and I'm excited to see that film. So,
and that goes back to
that
you
film
again
will be
being
kind
out. Right?
Yeah. Pardon me?
Once again, that's you being kind again. You're finding valuable skill sets in people. You're lauding people, and the decency that you bring to your characters, to your interviews, is so refreshing. Which makes me sad because we have to go to our news break in about 2 minutes. But I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart, for taking the time to be with us. It's such a great opportunity, and I'm sure everybody out there listening is so happy to know that the real Diane Franklin is as wonderful as the character she plays on TV and in film.
Oh my gosh, I think I'm better as a person. Honestly, I think I'm a better person than I am an actress. Let's just say it that way. So, but here's, I got to say this: if people want to connect with me, go to Diane. Although I don't usually say this, go to Diane Franklin Fans. Under the group section, you'll see a black and white picture from my books. The reason why is because my other one got filled up, and so I had to open one that said fans. But honestly, I don't even think of it as fans. I think of it as friends. So go to Diane Franklin Fans and friend me there, and I will then let you in. And then that's a place where I'll let you know about upcoming events, when these films come up. And also, I post all these photos that I'm I'm advertising things already. but it's like you guys are my friends. It's not public out. So nobody is, I mean, honestly, Amityville is you're only knowing it because I'm talking about it. There's no press yet. The film isn't out. It's still in post. It's coming out. Like, I think we're finishing it in December, and then maybe it's going to go to some film festivals. I'm telling you, like, the only way you're hearing about this is me now. It's like I'm having coffee with you at Starbucks. Okay, so it's just between me and you. That's it. So this is not press yet. There's no press release, like nothing yet. So you are hearing the inside scoop now through me. All right, there you go.
Thank you for that. That's an amazing thing. I want to thank you, Diane, again for being on our show. Phil.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much, Dan. I'm beyond elated, and again, I've totally my 2017 is coming to a close on a very awesome and party on dude way.
Totally excellent way. Totally excellent, dude. Beautiful. Get it straight. Great. I'm thrilled. That's awesome. Well, here's to a better 2018, right?
Absolutely.
Yes. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to Surviving Evidence. We had on with us tonight the wonderful, the amazing, the iconic Diane Franklin. This is Let's Talk Radio, Clearwater, Florida. We're back after the news.
The government stays open. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News.
The yeas are 66. The nays are 32. The motion to concur is agreed to.
With time to spare, the Senate passing a temporary spending bill that'll keep the government running through mid-January. The measure includes $2.1 billion in emergency aid for the Department of Veterans Affairs and a temporary fix to make sure states facing shortfalls from a children's health program won't have to kick kids off the program. The measure now heads to President Trump's desk. He has said he will sign it. But the Senate decided to not include the $1 billion disaster aid package for Puerto Rico in their bill after the House passed it.
We expected it to come right now, but the reality is that we are also expecting a better bill.
Puerto Rico's Governor Ricardo Waseo, residents of Puerto Rico still feeling the effects of Hurricane Maria, which devastated the island in September. A UN vote condemning President Trump's declaration to move the U.S. Embassy in Israel to Jerusalem.
Palestinian leaders are openly praising the UN and thanking the majority for not bowing to pressure. U.S. Ambassador to the UN, Nikki Haley, pointedly told the General Assembly that America was only exercising its prerogative and will long remember this vote.
When so many countries come calling on us, as they so often do, to pay even more and to use our influence for their benefit.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu thanked President Trump for his declaration and himself affirmed Jerusalem as Israel's capital.
Fox's Colonel Scott. This afternoon, the president paid a visit to wounded service members at Walter Reed National Medical Center, calling them some of the bravest people in the world. During the visit, the president awarded a Purple Heart to a wounded soldier who was wounded earlier this year. The president also last visited soldiers at Walter Reed back in April. Fox News. Fair and balanced. Nearly all evacuation orders related to the wildfires in Southern California have been lifted.
Aside from one small area in Ventura County, all evacuation orders from the Thomas Fire have been lifted. This fire, which burned into Santa Barbara County, became the second largest in California history, burning up 270,000 acres. It destroyed at least 750 homes, and 2 people died, including a firefighter. It is now 60% contained. Wind had caused it to flare up this week, but now that wind has moved south, putting everyone back on alert. Thursday, there was a fire start in a river bottom in Riverside County, east of Los Angeles, and that did result in evacuation orders. Jessica Rosenthal, Fox News.
A Justice Department spokesman says Attorney General Jeff Sessions is looking into the prosecution of ranchers Cliven Ahman and Ryan Bundy, who got into an armed standoff with federal agents in Nevada in 2014. Vince McMahon moves to sell off his shares of WWE.
Amid talks of trying to revive the XFL, McMahon has sold off over 3 million shares in the WWE, equaling about $100 million. In a filing with the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, the sale was noted as primarily funding a separate entity from the company called Alpha Entertainment to explore investment opportunities. But here's what gets interesting. Alpha has filed for 5 trademarks to the XFL, the filing seeking to trademark the XFL as a professional football league and also cover merchandise, with previous trademarks abandoned over a decade ago after the XFL's original one-and-done season in 2001. Matt Napolitano, Fox News.
Some items belonging to Elvis are heading for the auction block, including his rocking chair. In a statement, Graceland says the chair is expected to fetch between $10,000 and $15,000. The auction includes 271 items, such as clothing, jewelry, and other memorabilia, all the items from third-party collectors. The auction will take place next month at Graceland during the celebration of Presley's birthday. Lisa Lacera, Fox News Radio.
Haunted Voices series by author Claire Jim. Not your average romance novels, the Haunted Voices series intertwines romance with ghost stories. Like an addiction counselor and a security guard struggle to free a little girl and her father. Two lost spirits trapped inside an abandoned mental hospital in Spirits of the Heart. Want more? Then read about a hunky professor in a tweed jacket, a cheeky goth chick, and a pipe-smoking, book-hurling ghost. Put them all together in an antiquated library and, well, you get the book Phantom Traces. Or read about a psychic interior designer who reluctantly agrees to renovate a sexy investor's abandoned hotel in Hearts Unlocked, winner of the 2016 New York Book Festival. The Haunted Voices series by Claire Jim. Buy wherever books are sold or purchase at clairegim.com.
Others say it. We prove it. WGOG Digital Broadcasting. Let's talk.
Welcome back to Hour 2 of Surviving Evidence. This is Christy Cesare, the Ghost Boy of Geneseo, and along with my wingman and co-host Phil Casey, we are getting ready to roll into Hour 2 of our program. Before we bring on our guest for the second hour, I just want to say it was a thrill to speak to Diane Franklin. We've had Jeff Mudgett from History Channel's Rick Ripper. We've had Evan Becker from NBC, award-winning director Mark Tria, Ghostorian Mike Rixicker, This is America's Jack Canada, rock band Everwar, all great guests. But to sit down and talk with a Hollywood screed legend is pretty special.
Yeah, it's an amazing and awesome thing. It was totally excellent in retrospect. If you would have said to me, Chris, 5 years ago that I would get to do that and to do it with my longtime amigo, it just makes it that much more special for me. So I thank you. I thank all of our listeners, and just
absolutely. Feelings mutual, Phil.
Just amazing. Our second guest in Hour 2 is an author, a near-death experience survivor. Prior to his accident, this man spent 25 years working hard for two family-owned businesses in Pine Plains, New York, a popular landscaping company, and Two Bays service station.
The night of November 15th, 2009 is one that Jim Bubba Bay will never forget. Walking on a dark road in Pine Plains, New York, he stepped backward out of the path of an oncoming truck. Then he plummeted 14 feet down a rocky gully, breaking 23 bones in his body, including 11 ribs, 10 vertebrae, his skull, and left scapula. For Bay, this turned out to be a life-changing religious experience, one that touched him on a deep and spiritual level.
Out of the total darkness, Jim Bay saw the white light, often mentioned by those who have narrowly escaped death. Bay was told that it was not yet his time, and he somehow summoned the strength to climb up the steep ravine and stagger to the doorstep of a neighbor who called the ambulance.
The accident on Hammertown Road was not his first brush with tragedy. Years earlier, Jim suffered the painful loss of 2 of his 5 children. Although few people have experienced events like these, Bay states, a lot of people can relate to having great tragedy in their lives. He says this experience can serve as a metaphor for what many people are going through in their own lives. Many people feel like they have fallen off the road, he says. And this metaphor is echoed in the cover of the Image book, his book Miracle on the Hammertown Road, which was awarded first prize in the spiritual category of the 2017 Hollywood Book Festival. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Jimmy Bubba Bay. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure.
thrilled to do so. In fact, I was talking to a Miss Joan Costello, a friend of mine, and she had mentioned on hearing the show we did, you should really talk to Jim. He's got a great story. It's an inspirational experience. You want to have him on. And so the first chance I got, I tried to look you up and get a hold of you. And I was so thankful for this Christmas spirit, the time of year we have, that you're able to come on at short notice. So, the thanks is all ours.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, Joan's a great woman, and I actually met her through the book. So that's how most of the people I meet nowadays is through the book and everything. So it's been great. It's been great.
One of the things that really strikes a chord with me in terms of how I think and feel is that, a person is defined more by their actions than by their thoughts. And the actions we take in tragedy can't always be telegraphed. You don't always know what will happen in those crisis periods. The real you comes out, for example. And what you went through was so horrifying, so scary. Here you are now writing about it and speaking about it. And I'm wondering, as we get into the details of what happened to you the few years back, what enabled you to begin to share this tragedy in such a positive way?
Well, I started out, when I woke up out of a coma from the hospital. I was in a deuce coma, and I told my parents and my family that I met God, and they were like, "Oh, are you sure? You better be sure." And I said, "Well, I met him at this log," and they all said, "Well, there was a bunch of blood at the log, so you stopped there." And then I described the log, and when I described the log straight out of a coma, and then I was shown where I fell, and the first picture they showed me was the log that I described straight out of a coma when it was the middle of the night, at nighttime. So that really took me to the next level in my own thinking, and I just it's actually going to be doing another book, and I kind of came up with the title talking to somebody else, but I do what I do now because the message is bigger than me.
Understood. Now, if you can take us back to the day, it's nighttime.
Correct.
Is it cold? Is it clear? Is it raining?
It's like a late fall, November 15th, and it was dark, dark out, and it was, you wear your coat and maybe some gloves, but it wasn't freezing out and like that. And I actually just went out because I wasn't feeling well, and I normally don't walk around here, and I normally walk like in town where there's street lights and stuff, but I just was going out because I didn't feel too well, and I just was going to take a brief little walk around and then go back in my house and go to bed. That was the plan.
A simple choice, right?
Yeah. That's all it was, and it all changed from there. But anyway, that was the intention that night, just a brief walk, because I wasn't feeling well. We make a joke in the book because I was living by myself. I got separated from my wife, and I used to make a lot of not so special tuna specials. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, so bring it. So you're walking. It's the November evening. It's a little chilly out. Not too bad. You want to get some fresh air to maybe get rid of some of the negative body feelings you have. Yeah. When do you notice? How do you notice this truck?
Well, actually, it was I didn't really. It was just lights. Down the road, but it's hard to explain when the press release, and people be like, lights, what do you mean lights? So it's written that way, but I saw car lights coming off the top of a hill. You know how you could see lights kind of project further out from a hill?
Yes, absolutely.
And I don't know if it was really a truck or not, but it was a vehicle, and when I walk at night, I always, if a car's approaching me, or I get off the side and I just stop. Because if you keep going towards them, they keep coming towards you. There's not much reaction time for anybody, So that was the intention, to just get off the side of the road and stop, and wait. But things changed from that point,
I don't want to put you into a place you want to go, but do you recall anything about the impact itself, or just waking up?
Oh yeah, I recall the impact. Yeah, it was like the quickest, shortest. It was the quickest, but it seemed like the longest time too, flying through the air, because I fell head first, free fell. I really believe that. Thankfully, I fell at night. In the end, because I fell at night, I really believe that really kind of saved my life in a way, because I didn't know what was coming. So I believe if I knew what was coming, I would have moved my arms and moved differently. And I must have just landed. I mean, I broke 26 fractures, so I didn't land great, but I must have just landed the right way to end up still being here today. So
that's amazing. That's amazing. I mean, just to have that happen, and you be able to talk to us right now, live on air, is in itself an amazing thing. But this is more than that. You're hit, you're down, and you stagger your way to get help, correct?
Yeah, well, what happened was I woke up in the culvert, and then I realized I was in deep trouble when I was able to reach up on my right hand, and my head's indented on the left side, and I reached up and my fingers went in my skull. And I knew I was in trouble then. Right. And of course I was in serious pain, but I really knew I was in trouble. And then it's really true. Like when your life gets, for me it was. Other people maybe not. I don't know. But from my own experience, everything started going through my mind. All my kids dying, everything. And my ex-wife found our son, our 18-year-old son, dead in his apartment after 3 or 4 days from kidney disease out in Arizona when we lived out there a year. And we'd never talk about what she saw, but anybody can imagine what she saw, so I actually figured I was dead or going to die. And I figured I was kind of like, boy, they would take a long time to find me because I didn't even know where I was, It was so like, wow, I didn't even know that, But anyway, so I took it upon myself. I figured if I was paralyzed, I'm dead. If I'm not paralyzed, I know when you move, you could paralyze, but I didn't know how much I broke my back. I broke 13 fractures in my back and neck, but I didn't know. I didn't know that.
Read about it. It's actually when it happens to you.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, I actually moved to the road to die. That was my plan. I mean, I had no hope, and that's what I moved just because I figured it would be a pretty bad sight to come find me. They would have to get the dogs for sure. There's no doubt about it. Because my mom and dad were spending a few days with me. They were visiting me, and they thought they would have went to town because that's where I always walk. So they would have went to town and not around here, and they would have had to get the dogs to find me. But anyway, so I moved the road to die. That was the plan. That was,
it's interesting. Most people probably don't quite understand that feeling. Luckily for them, and that's must not to know that in that moment. It's a very strange thing. When I was back in college, I had been viciously attacked by this spirit, this thing, and I was bleeding. And the same thing, I thought, you know what, I'm going to die. I didn't necessarily want to die, but I knew that I probably would. And it's such a strange thing. Everything goes through your mind in those minutes. You look for somebody to latch on to, and luckily you continue to move. You didn't give up. You continue to move to a place where somebody would make a phone call.
Yeah, well, I ended up climbing. People can't believe it. People have been healthy, gone down where I fell and try to climb out, and they can't believe I actually even got out of the thing. And I actually, made it to the road, and then I was on this log, and I was content on dying. I mean, I never died. I never physically died. But I was as close to death as can be. And I closed my eyes and I said, okay, I made it. I made it to this log or whatever it was. This log, I knew it was a log, and I saw it kind of look like the road. And I said, okay, now I'll die. So I closed my eyes and that was it. That was the plan, so.
Yeah. And when you felt as though this is the end, you're going to die, were there any thoughts about an afterlife at that point in time, or just trying to focus on your physical needs?
No, I was torn. I mean, it's kind of a weird thing, I guess, for some people who could understand, but I actually had, 3 kids living here and the rest of my family, and I had my 2 kids that died. And if you're a believer, they're in heaven, because my one son was 10 days old and died, 1 pound 4 ounces. So how much could he do wrong? And my other son was 18 years old. So if you're a believer in heaven and believing in all that, that's where they were. So I was mixed, I thought I did enough to go to heaven. I mean, I haven't been, the best Christian, and I haven't done everything right. I've made mistakes just like everybody else, but I keep plugging along and do the best I can. And I thought I'd go to heaven too. So I was mixed, I was like, okay, But I did get content, and the strangest thing, and maybe that's what happened to you, is peace came over me. I was peaceful and dying. I really was. I was content and dying. I was like, okay.
It's interesting. So in other words, dying itself didn't make you afraid. It's just the way it's happening, and it's not the right time.
Right. And I used to be afraid to die. And now moving forward, I'm not afraid to die. Do I want to die? No, I'm not afraid to die, but it's just too much deja vu now. I think anybody that's been there is going to say the same thing. I mean, once you go there once, it's like, okay, this is old hat, you know? I mean, do I want to die? No. And I kind of prefer, if I did die, that I die in my sleep or something, not break a 26 fracture. That's a pretty painful way to go, you know?
Absolutely.
So
the kids would say it's badass today. Pardon my language. That's like a Viking kind of funeral. But you're right. We all prefer to actually be perhaps in our bed with someone we love and go in a very peaceful way. We're coming up on a commercial in just a few moments. Ladies and gentlemen, listening to Let's Talk Radio. We're speaking with author, near-death experience survivor, Jimmy Bubba Bay. We'll be right back with these messages.
Stations in the world. We're one of them. WGOG Digital Broadcasting. Let's talk.
Since 1948, Fate magazine has delivered a one-of-a-kind reading experience, covering everything from psychics, UFOs, paranormal investigations, and more. To subscribe, visit fatemag.com or call 828-702-3032. That's 828-702-3032. Subscribe and find your true reports of the strange and unknown at fatemag.com.
Grow your business. At Signorama, we offer customized solutions for signs, branding, marketing, and advertising. We have a full range of custom sign and graphic services to meet your needs, build your brand, and create your image. Look around and you'll see how our specialists help businesses enhance their visibility and get noticed. Let us work with you to understand your unique marketing goals and help you reach them. Signorama, the way to grow your business. Meet with an expert at your local Signorama or visit us online anytime.
Ask yourself, when was the last time I took a vacation? It's been a while, hasn't it? If you're looking for a well-deserved, peaceful getaway, then look no further than Vacation Home Renters Whitetail Lodge. Let the professionals at vacationhomerenter.com help you with the vacation spot of your dreams, the Whitetail Lodge. This clean, cozy, and gorgeous cabin is a spacious 3,100 square foot, 5-bedroom, 3.5 bath that is perfect for large families or entertaining friends. Did I mention it comes with an outdoor hot tub? Relax with modern luxuries like central air, wood-burning fireplace, Wi-Fi, enormous covered deck, and flat-screen TVs in every room. Just minutes from Terry Peak Ski Area and other popular attractions like Mount Rushmore and Custer State Park. Don't wait another minute to book the Whitetail Lodge and stay in the vacation home you're looking for. Visit online at vacationhomerenter.com and select the beautiful Whitetail Lodge. Depression, anxiety, and insomnia can cause a lot of heartache and stress in a family or group of friends. And those heartaches only multiply when the symptoms are a byproduct of a bigger health concern, like cancer, PTSD, Parkinson's, or drug and alcohol dependency. And in the past, treatments for depression, anxiety, and insomnia were only moderately effective. But now there's a new therapy called Nexalin. Nexalin is a simple medical device that stimulates the midbrain. Nexalin is safe and an effective FDA-cleared drug-free treatment for depression, anxiety, and insomnia with no serious side effects. And Nexalin is proven effective in reducing symptoms in over 80% of patients treated. For information and a free confidential consultation, call 847-865-3216 or visit NexalinRelief.com. That's 847-865-3216 or visit NexalinRelief.com.
We are back, and you are listening to Surviving Evidence on Let's Talk Radio, and we are speaking with author and near-death experience survivor Jim Bubba Bay. And Jim, one of my questions to you is, through all this tragedy, prior to the fall, you lost 2 children. How did you stay strong through all of that?
Well, I mean, my faith helped carry me through, but I have to be honest with you, and I'm sure other parents that have unfortunately, experienced the same thing, is I did have younger kids who still needed me, and my wife, so that did help. It did help where they needed you, so you had to pick up your boots and put your boots straight, and keep going, for them, so that definitely helped carry through. And then the faith, and then my family, when there was times all different, and some good friends of mine kind of helped me get through it. You never get over it. You just kind of do the best you can to get through it. So and then my faith in the whole situation definitely helped carry me through the best I can.
I recently, a couple of years ago, had a friend who, had to bury their son, and it's been almost, I think, 7 or 8 years since that's happened. I can't imagine the tragedy, what was going through their minds. Some people believe that God only gives us what we can handle. Do you believe that there was a plan for you through all this tragedy?
Yeah, well, it's kind of, I've kind of learned that, everything happens for a reason. I kind of believe that anyway. But the night of my fall, one of the purposes, not only the love they gave me, although my one son lived 10 days, never made it at a hospital, but I'm the one that visited him the most, and I was with him constantly, although he was in the incubator most of the time, But is that they were there that night when I fell and when I met God, because I didn't get to talk to him, but they were there, and it reconfirmed what I was seeing was what I was seeing. Because if you're, like I said earlier, if you're a believer in heaven and believer in all that stuff, my kids didn't do anything wrong not to be there. Especially, my one son was 18. What could he really do wrong? And the other son was 10 days old. So it didn't dawn on me for the longest time. And I did a interview at a book club. There's this big book club. They read my book, and we did an interview, and they asked me, and wow, it hit me like a sledgehammer in the head. That's one of the reasons why they were there. So it's almost like it was it's almost like part of why they were unfortunately passed away was I was going to fall off the road, and they were going to be there for me,
Yeah.
So
you talk about you were welcoming death at that point, and you met and saw your children. Take our listeners through that experience of what you did, what you saw that night.
Well, I was, like I said, I was content and dying. I was laying on a log, and I closed my eyes. And my best friend from high school, Mick Ruzick, wrote the book with me. And the cool thing is we did start it. He lives in Stanfield, and that's where he grew up, and I live in Pine Plains. And then he was visiting, but he lives in Bangkok, Thailand. So we actually wrote the book halfway across the world, which is pretty cool too. But anyway, so once he left, we continued with the book, and then he said to me, I had to write like 3 or 4, emails and messages because he was trying to get it out of me or whatever, And it finally dawned on me, like when I was laying on the log, I was content and dying, my eyes were closed, and he's like, well, what happened, And then I'm sure we've all been there, all of us, when you're a kid or something like that, and you oversleep and your parents turn your light on, and there's like light outside your eyelids, and it makes you wake up.
You're groggy, yep.
Yeah, and there's like lights on the outside. That's what happened to me. My eyes were closed, and I was content and dying, and next thing you know, I got brighter and brighter, almost not burning my eyes, but just really so bright I had to open them, and the next thing you know, the God was, before me. The reason why I say I met God, some people say you can't see God, other people, everybody's got their own opinion. And to be honest with you, I don't really care whatever this is just what happened to me. If you believe me or don't believe me, I'm okay with it. I don't really, it's not my job to convince people or not convince people. It's just a testimony, and I'm okay with whatever everybody believes. Some say, but anyway, one of the reasons why I claim I said met God was because he said my son Jesus. So who was I speaking to? And then So it was amazing, though. It was so I was so overwhelmed. Of course, at first I was like, I didn't mean to be honest with you. I was a little confused because I didn't know at first that it was God. But the other thing is like, I never died before. Is this how it happens? It's
fair enough.
They send the big guy to come get you. I'm like, I was confused, and I was
line.
Yeah, I was like, okay, this is like, because at first that's what I was like, okay, this is kind of strange, but I don't know, and then the conversation was kind of within. It wasn't like, the voices. It was kind of like talking through, you know what I mean? And it was so beautiful. I mean, I was overwhelmed, and he didn't take away my pain. He didn't take away my pain. He didn't stop the bleeding. But what it was I was in such awe that my mind didn't go on my pain at the time. I was so blown away that I couldn't concentrate on the pain, and I was, concentrating on what I did. And I tell people that, and people kind of agree with me. Like, if you have a question for your whole life, the one question that always bothers you, and you meet God, you would think He would answer the question that bothered you the most. That's why I didn't know the Bible, was because if it was God's words and in His Bible, why was all this killing done over the Bible? If it's God's words, that's why I have a problem with the Bible, and that's why I couldn't figure out what was it. And I know this sounds crazy, but basically he told me, and it's in the book, that, do you notice that men that do that and take advantage of the Bible and kill others and all that stuff, they may become in power, but they don't last in power forever, and God in the Bible still carries on. And I know it sounds simple, but it took that meeting to reiterate to me what it really was, and that's one of the biggest questions that was answered that night for me,
Right. One thing, Jim, I noticed is that, and this is a generality, it's not necessarily a rule, it's just most people who research or investigate things try to prove things. Those who survive experiences try to demonstrate to share things. So in other words, people who went through something don't have to prove it. They know it exists. The question is, how do you share it? Whereas people who are looking for answers, they need to prove what they're finding is correct. So when you stated, this is what happened to me, you have to prove it. It doesn't matter to you. That's a natural reaction to a human being who's gone through a trauma. I'm not going to try to prove it to you. I don't have time for that. Let me explain to you what it meant. When was the first time you decided to share this experience with those beyond your family?
Actually, and what a couple of things. One, when I met him, one of the messages was to keep telling my story. It wasn't. He didn't say write a book. He didn't say anything like that. And I was sharing my story one by one. Whenever people asked me, whatever. And at the time, I was walking with a cane because I get dizzy and stuff. And I've been to balance therapy since, and I got my confidence back. That I'm not going to fall, because I fell a bunch of times after I fell. Again. Yeah. And so anyway, I got the confidence and stuff like that. And then so people would say, "Oh, what's the matter? Did you break your leg?" Or do you got a funny story? Like one time I went to get a haircut, and the lady saw my scar in my head, and she says, "Oh, what do you got a kid story? You hit your head on a coffee table?" I said, "No, yeah." Right. I said it's a little more involved than that, And so anyway, I was sharing it that way, And
yes,
and then I met my friend came back from Bangkok, and we talked and stuff, and then it was like I could reach more people with a book. And one of my goals, and I've been doing it, is be an inspirational speaker, and the book is a platform to speak on. But one of the things I want to say that's really neat about the story, and because after I met God, and saw my kids, and people still can't believe it that I got up and walked 200 feet to my neighbor's house. It was like 200 something feet I actually walked. People, when I was in a coma, they thought I crawled. My family thought I crawled. Everybody thought I crawled. They don't know how I crawled, and let alone walk. But one of the neat things about it, whether it's Chris's story, Phil's story, or Mary's story, or Joan's story, is that my blood and my cell phone were in the culvert, and I knocked on the woman's door. So if you believe that God didn't come or I had divine intervention, then you're saying I did it all myself, and you're saying I'm more like awesome than I'm saying I am. I'm saying I had help, So either way, I'm a winner, but I win in just because I'm living. But anyway, so because I talk to non-believers, they believe it didn't happen. And I say, well, then you're just saying I did it all myself. and you're making me more awesome than I'm saying. I'm saying I had help, and then
that's a good problem to have. That's a good problem, Jim. Either you're right or you're more awesome than you think you are. That's a good thing.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So
yes, I do.
And I've had a bunch of non-believers come back to me and say, you got a point, and they do, and so it's like, and it's because it's fact, and a sheriff found where I fell, they followed my blood trail and saw where I fell, and I knocked on the woman's door, so it's so either way, it happened, Have you
spoken to that woman since that day you knocked on her door?
Oh yeah, it was pretty emotional. Yeah, I went back and I didn't have her number. She's right next door. It's always been a neighborly. I never talked to her before that night, and it's always been a neighborly wave because I rent for my brother. That's how I ended up here. And there's woods between us, not big woods, but enough woods, and it would just be a wave. And that poor woman, boy, she opened that door. She thought Freddy Krueger was in town, because I asked her to write for the book. She wrote, because I had people write for the book, because I realized there were sections that I was just passed out or, and it needed to be filled in. And so I asked a bunch of people to write, and it took the book to a whole new level when the people wrote for the book. But she did, and I asked her, and then she wrote it, and it's wonderful what she wrote. But anyway, I saw her like 2 months after that again, and she actually, kind of told me that she was afraid for her life when she opened the door, and that she, wasn't going to close the door on me, but it certainly entered her mind, because
no one expects that, right? No one expects to have that happen. You open the door and there's some guy almost dead, bleeding, like, how you doing? No one expects that. And well, thank God that she was the kind of person not to close the door a second, just keep it closed, and she did the right thing. And one of the things I've learned over the years too is that, each of us experience things in our own way. So if you go to a baseball game, for example, and let's say the baseball game ends with the Mets have 5, the Pirates have 3. If you're a Mets fan, it's a good game. If you're a Pirates fan, it's a bad game. Even though the same things have happened, we put value on things. And when something like this happens that defies common experience, any person who can add a piece to that puzzle, because you might have 14 pieces of 17, but she may have 2 of those pieces that are very important to see. And so her working with you and sharing her part of the experience makes the whole experience richer.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure. And then I actually got her number, but you asked about that first time, and I brought flowers to her, and it was very surreal knocking. It was very surreal knocking on the door. I knocked on, rang the doorbell, and then and then we spent. I actually told people, there's the Holy Trinity and all that stuff and all that. But this is, I'm not getting religious here, but for old Jim Bubba Bay, my Holy Trinity was God, my neighbor, and me. That's what.
Yes.
And then the doctors after that. But to get to that point, that was I was so bad hurt they called a helicopter for me, but it was so foggy they couldn't fly. So anyway, that's how bad I was.
More difficulties. Hurt. It's like a perfect storm.
Yeah. Yeah, so I got the ride in the ambulance, which was brutal. I mean, being on the back, and even though I was told like I was going to live, I almost punched out in the ambulance because I just couldn't take the pain no more.
Right.
So,
absolutely. It's some people talk about predeterminism. Some talk about fate. Some talk about coincidence or chances. And you recall this because you're over 30 years old, obviously. The Kennedys. John F. Kennedy became president, assassinated. His brother Bobby, Secretary of State, assassinated. Ted Kennedy became a senator. He had the Chappaquiddick thing. And it seemed like that family, they used the word curse. Yet they achieved great things. When someone talks about your life, they might first think, oh, my gosh, this is just tragedy. It's a curse that these things happened to him and his family. How do you explain that as not being the case? It's not a curse. It's opportunity. It's faith.
Well, it's just like, another thing you add to everything is because my one son was 18 years old, he had kidney disease, and I'm sorry, you could have the best insurance in the world, and if you have a terminally ill person in your family, it's a slow financial death, unless you got the money to back it, So unfortunately, between all that, we lost our homes, bankrupt, foreclosed, we lost, everything. It was just total devastation that way too, and that adds to the story too. And I just do what I do, and it was all meant to be who I was today. Like I had the most amazing experience happen on. I got to tell it just blows me away. It's still I'm still like can't believe it, but I did another book signing in Middletown at my friend Joel's store, JC Christian, gifts and books, and the last one was great, and so we scheduled another one, and I forgot about Christmas shopping, and it's over there by the Crystal Run Mall and Galleria and whatever. Absolutely. So anyway, I actually forgot about Christmas traffic, so I was a little late. I got there at 12 when the thing started at 12, and I still got to set up, so anyway, make a long story short, so I finally got everything set up, and I took my coat up, walked up front, and this older lady got out. It was by the sidewalk, kind of almost there with a dog, and she did look like she was, blind. And then we both looked out. I said, "Oh, and then." But when it went through my head, often those people don't really want you to help them because they're independent. They do the best they, And so anyway, so then another lady showed up with a dog, and she looked blind too. And we're like, oh. So then finally a guy, his name ended up being Gary, but he came. He was with them, and they could have went. There's a UPS store there, so it wasn't sure where they were going. So I went back because I had to go to the bathroom. So I went to the bathroom because I've been, driving to get there. And then I come back through the one door, and all of a sudden Joel goes, "Hey, Bubba, they're here to meet you," and I'm like blown up. So anyway, I talked to him, Patty and Judy and Judy and Wally are the dogs, Patty and Mary are the woman. And then walking back, and Patty's got two questions for me: what does God look like, and what does he sound like? And then Mary, I don't know how this is. Mary found out about my book and went online because she could see a little bit with a magnifying thing, and she went and found my book on Audible.
Oh, very cool.
So she listened to my book on Audible and loved it and had to meet me. So they came and we had a wonderful time, hugs, and one time I said, so I forgot what I said, and Patty goes to me, "I can't see it anyway." It's kind of like I said something, and she's like, so anyway, the most amazing thing that blew me away is I thought they came, local and all that, and Gary was nice to bring him and all that, and after it was all said and done, I was up with Joel at the end, took my friend Joel there, and we were talking, and he goes, "You didn't know?" And I said, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "Yeah, you didn't know? They came all the way from New York City to Middletown to meet me."
Wow, it's a nice thing.
It's
a beautiful thing.
Yeah, it just blows my mind. I mean, for me to go to New York City and back, it's an effort. So it was, it's great, So that's the kind of thing that keeps me going now, Yes.
Yeah, that is amazing, Jim. And your story in itself, the fact that you're talking to us is just a miracle unto itself. One of the things, two things I kind of caught in reading some things, there were two key pieces that kind of put stuff into perspective with you. One you found in a box that you packed away when you moved to Arizona, and the other one was your daughter. There's some key connections. Can you talk to us about those two key connections to all of this?
Well, yeah. Well, So when my big hobby is metal detecting. I'm a nut. I dig out houses, and I'm a nut. I've always been. And anyway, so when we moved to Arizona, the metal detecting's different out there. It didn't go. To be honest with you, I was a New York boy, kind of fish out of water. I didn't, at first I didn't want to go, but it was a great thing for me because I saw the world. Saw there was a lot more out there. And anyway, but I didn't have a job. So it was the first time in my life I didn't have a job. So I got more depressed because I didn't have a job, and we had moved there. And so, looking back on it, I would have relaxed more, enjoyed my kids more, But I used to get and the crazy thing with the internet now is, you can look a lot of hours, but by 8 o'clock at night, I always relax and say, well, no one's open. They wouldn't want to see me anyway. So I used to relax, and but I was stressing out. And so I went to this box I packed myself, literally packed it, taped it and everything. It's all metal detecting. I said, you know what? Open it up and look at the metal detecting thing. And next thing you know, so I did that. So I opened it up. I'm the first one that touched it, opened it up. And in the top of the book and the top of the pile in the book that I never put there was The Prayer of Jabez by Bruce Wilkinson. So I was blown away. I was like, okay, this is really strange here because this is, and so I ended up, I took it as a message to read it, and it just kind of took my, and it's an easy read, not a big book. And I went on some interviews, and sometimes you get there early, so I'd read it in the car, and so I started praying. It changed my life. It changed my prayer life. I learned to pray. I started to pray, and it says about, some people say, oh, it's materialistic things. From what I got from the book and the way I prayed and the way I thought was like, here I am, God, I'm ready to do your work for you. What do you want me to do? But then I always scratch my head after I prayed it, because I don't know the Bible. When I wasn't a great Christian, I only went to, it's my new word on my interviews and stuff, but I call myself a Creaster Christian before I fell. I went to Christmas and Easter, so it's my word, and that was me, and so I didn't know what I was going to do, and then of course, fast forward to fall and meet him. Now I know what I do, And then my daughter, she's just been a rock. My one son died, and then my daughter was premature and all that stuff. And then she came, and then she was born early, and she came out all purple and stuff. And the wildest thing is, my one son lived 10 days and died, and she was supposed to be in there for 2 months. They called us up for 10 days and said, you got to come get your daughter. She's eating inside a house and home. So it was really, really kind of strange. And she just, so she's she's my special. She went with me to Colorado when I went to the IANS conference this past summer, and she's just been a rock for me. She's, all my kids, and my son John, my oldest son, it was his idea for the cover of the book,
Awesome.
So.
Jim, I don't mean to cut you off, but we're going to go to break. You guys are listening to Surviving Evidence on Let's Talk Radio, and we'll be back in 2 minutes. And when we come back, we'll have Jim finish up his story.
Of course, we didn't invent great sound. We perfected it. WGOG Digital Broadcasting. Let's talk. Nothing feels better than a good cleanse to wash away the day. If you think that refreshes you, then experience the ultimate cleanse with Soaps by Susan. Cleansing Spiritually LLC uses only pharmaceutical-grade essential oils, all-natural shea butter, coconut oils, and vitamin E, and tailored toward the ultimate cleanse. Susan uses a skin-safe fragrance with an aroma that brings a smile to your face and takes you to that happy place within. Each bar is handcrafted and custom to order, so it not only cleanses the soul, but also matches your room's decor. Cleansing Spiritually soap makes great gifts, or you can just indulge yourself for a spiritual cleansing you'll never forget. You want some now, don't you? We thought so. Contact Susan Todd to place your custom order at facebook.com/spiritually. Don't settle for clean. Get spiritually clean at facebook.com/spiritually. The Haunted Voices series by author Claire Jim. Not your average romance novels, the Haunted Voices series intertwines romance with ghost stories. Like an addiction counselor and a security guard struggle to free a little girl and her father. Two lost spirits trapped inside an abandoned mental hospital in Spirits of the Heart. Want more? Then read about a hunky professor in a tweed jacket, a cheeky goth chick, and a pipe-smoking book-hurling ghost. Put them all together in an antiquated library and, well, you get the book Phantom Traces. Or read about a psychic interior designer who reluctantly agrees to renovate a sexy investor's abandoned hotel in Hearts Unlocked, winner of the 2016 New York Book Festival. The Haunted Voices series by Claire Jim. Buy wherever books are sold or purchase at clairejim.com. Haunted, a psychic story by author and radio host Ariel Grace. This is not your average book of hauntings. Haunted, a psychic story is written from a psychic perspective and contains true stories and some handy tips. Written in 3 parts, Haunted, a psychic story contains chilling adventures, advice from the archangels, and helpful tips used by Ariel Grace to clear haunted homes around the globe. Haunted, a psychic story is available on Amazon, or you can download straight to your Kindle. Haunted, a psychic story by Ariel Grace. Get your copy today. We pause for station identification. It's the little cinder block building on the north side of town with the towel behind it. WGOG DB Clearwater. Let's talk.
All right, folks, we are back in hour number 2, and you're listening to Surviving Evidence on Let's Talk Radio, and we are talking with Jim Bubba Bay. And Jim, we were talking earlier before we went to break about your children, and I kind of want to pick up where we left off with your daughter and the 10-day in the hospital in the incubator.
Yeah, there was really the one wild thing was, I mean, it's sad, but when my son passed away, he was in that one room, and it's kind of strange, but we had him in this, both of my kids in the Northern Dutchess Hospital in Rhinebeck, and my James, who passed away, and my daughter and my other, they actually, the first time James, got taken down, was born premature, and then a doctor showed up, and then 10 days later he died, and then we were leaving the hospital in Vassar down to Poughkeepsie because that's where he got transported to. We saw the doctor, and my wife said, thank you, but I hope I never see you again, kind of thing. Well, fast forward, my daughter gets born, and who shows up in Rhinebeck to get my daughter, right, in the ambulance with the doctor? We told him we hope we never seen again. So then the wild thing was, though, I was only used to the one room. So, like, on the 8th day or the 9th day, I went in there, my daughter was gone. I mean, my heart was in my toe. I mean, I literally was like in shock. My daughter wasn't there. Well, I didn't know there was another room that they moved to when they get better. And they're like, the nurse, because unfortunately it's not good when a neonatal intensive care unit knows you by your name because you've been there too many times. But anyway, they saw me. The one nurse saw me, and she says, "Oh, Mr. Bay, there's a room. Your daughter's getting better. There's a whole nother room." I said, "Well, I never experienced that part." And so we went over, and I got to feed her and stuff. It was cool, and stuff. So it was really awesome. Yeah, so it was 10 days exactly. It's really strange, some of the stuff, And like I said, the same doctor came to get him both times and stuff. It was really strange,
Yeah, a lot of connecting parts that sometimes you don't think about until later on. And my youngest daughter was born in Vassar, so I know that hospital well. But we talked a little bit off air about how when you meet God, you get a gift. He gave you the gift of sociability. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, everybody gets a gift, I believe, and I believe it's a give and take. I gave up pain and I get sociability because I'm in pain every day, because the chronic pain. But before I fell, I was shy. I always consider myself shy, not introvert. But once I knew you, I'd talk your ear off. So even back then, I could talk. But I had to get to know you, and I was, I walk, say hello, and go on my way. And now I'm like totally. I coach basketball, at the high school, and my most fearful thing, I could coach in a gym in front of thousands of people or whatever, had no problem. But I was totally afraid of the parents, award dinner at the end of the year about speaking in front of people. I was terrified. And now I seek it out, and I walk in, and I see anybody in the street. I talk to everybody. My kids, now it's to the point where they got to put their hoods over their head or when they're with me and stuff, because I just talk to everybody. I see kids with ice cream cone. I ask them what flavor is, where they got it from, or and somebody's checking out, a shirt, and I'll go up and tell them, hey, I think that looked good on you. I mean, it's just crazy. I mean, I kind of get crazy. It's like crazy, but I really seek it out now, with the speaking of the book and and all that. And of course, it's not it's a message for God and everything. But it's just been totally changed. As a matter of fact, I did a cable TV show in Danbury. It's on YouTube and all that stuff, and I did in Danbury, and I had no idea I was on TV. I was so like in the zone, and all these cameras pointing at you, and all these red lights going off, and I had no idea. It was so I just was like, oh, this is like I did it every day,
Right.
Yeah, it was.
Well, you're gonna find because what you share is not common, the way you responded to it is very inspirational. In fact, our chat room right now is buzzing a lot. And in our chat room, we have Michael Lewis, we have Kathleen Wilson there, we have Barry March, Andrew Knapp, Todd is there, Phil, Kat, Oriel, we had Donna Marie was in there, and Michael Fasolino, Boris Creamers. A question from the chat room for you, Jim, and this is from Barry March, and it reads, I'm curious to know, does this near-death experience you had feel like a dream or more of a real awake experience looking back upon yourself laying there on the ground?
It actually is. To me, it's a combination. I mean, it's been 8 years. I can't believe it. It's just like, wow, where did the time go? But the reality fact of it, like I said, I am in pain every day because, you can't break 26 fractures and expect to come out all rosy, but it's still like I in some ways it's a dream because there's sometimes I have to pinch myself that it's actually me that experienced it. That I didn't, it just sometimes it really is. It's like, wow, did that really happen to me? And in the book it said I haven't been down there, but people, enough people come by, hey, can you take me where you fell? And so I've been since, and I look at it, it's just like, it just blows my mind. I can't believe that I actually got out of it, and
yes. And your response makes it a part of an interesting history. If nothing ever happened there, it's still a spot. Because how you reacted to the experience and how you're sharing it in this positive way, it becomes a place of meaning to people beyond yourself. That's incredible how you can take a literal tragedy, a near-death tragedy, and create this healing experience. And I'm wondering, we have just a few minutes left. If you'd like to share a message with the listeners, what is one thing you think that they should really know about either life itself or what you went through?
Well, the reason why I do the book and wrote the book, and whether you believe or not, it doesn't matter to me and stuff like that, but God's for everybody. And that's why I wrote, and that's why I do what I do. Whether you believe or not believe, he's there for you. He's there for the non-believers. He's there for the believers. He's there for the people who know the Bible. He's there for the people that don't know the Bible. He's there for, everybody. Everybody. He's there for everybody because he was there for me. And like I said before, way back, if you believe he didn't come from me, then you're saying I did it all myself, which is even more amazing if that was true. And, that's one of my main things is God's for everybody. And, and everything happens for a reason. I mean, I always believe that. A lot of people do. Some people don't. They believe everything's separate and stuff like that. But it's just nothing's coincidence. It's all for a reason, it's like a crazy thing. It's like at our family gas station, we had the book. I have the book. Talk about a marketing thing. You put a sign on the pump, people read it. People get mad because they pump over the amount of gas they want because they're so busy reading the sign, But anyway, a woman, Shannon, from Red Hook, there's all these gas stations you passes. She goes from Red Hook down by our gas station. There's 4 stations, a quarter mile. She buys the book. And the first time she read off the pump, goes and reads it and loves the book. She gives it to my friend Joe, who owns the Enchanted Cafe in Red Hook, and he reads it for inspiration. They say so. He invites me to do a speech. I do a speech. I do 2 of them there. It's sold out the first time. Anyway, my whole story is bang. Next thing you know, this happened, that happened. Joan comes to that, and that's how I meet you guys. You know what I mean? It's all like intertwined. It just kind of builds on itself, and but God's for everybody, and keep the faith, and people say, why do good things happen to bad people, or why do bad things happen to good people, and vice versa. We wouldn't know what we couldn't compare it. I mean, if it was all good, how would we know anything's bad? Right.
That's a good point. That's a good point. And you can be going to work one day, and there's a truck in front of you going very slow, because that truck, you hit the light. You hit the light, you get blocked by traffic, get to work late, you say, oh my gosh, everything's connected, everything's bad. Or you can say the opposite and say, you know what, maybe I will learn from this. I will leave for work earlier. I'll help the person that needs help in the truck. And so how you interpret things sometimes goes a long way into what it means to your life and how you share with others. And the fact you took this tragic situation and share it in such a positive way, affirming way, is a testament to your character, to how you view this. And I think I think we need that now. We need some positivity in a time when we have people fighting in wars and terrorist attacks and divorces and cancer and all these things happening in our lives. It's nice to hear something where a person says, you know what, This was tough, but I kept moving. I met this woman at the door. She helped me. I was driven to the hospital in the ambulance. I survived. And through all these things, here I am saying, don't give up.
Yeah. Well, and to add to it, I almost died twice in the hospital in a coma because I almost got pneumonia. They called my brother up and told him to get a gravesite for me, that I wasn't going to make it. You know, and
yes.
Yeah, so, you know, it's just, you know, you got to, you know, keep going. And, but, you know, and I'm just a messenger. You know, and like I said, I taught the non-believer believers and all different religions have loved the book because it's spiritual. It's a spiritual book more than it's not religious, it's spiritual. You know, I've had Buddhists read it and Jehovah's Witnesses read it and Muslims read it, you know, because it's just, it's all like, you know, we're all connected, you know, and,
yes.
and people got to realize that, you know?
Your message of positivity and hope, it transcends what building you pray in or what room you read in, because you can't, I don't believe, take faith, especially and put it into one box. I think that the world is so beautiful, and as tough as things are, you know, every day a baby's born, every day someone falls in love, every day someone takes their first breath, you know. So there are such wonderful things, and I want to thank you for coming on our show, Jim. It's been an honor. I hope people go out and get your book, Miracle on Hammertown Road. I'm certainly going to go out and purchase that, and I'll be reaching out to you to give you my thoughts and my appreciation for you being here. And you know, and I want to thank listeners out there in the chat room, out on their iPads and their iPhones and iHeartRadio, everyone out there. Thank you so much. We've had 2 great guests on tonight. We'll keep trying to do the same thing next week for Christmas. It's a replay of the C2D1 reunion show. Phil and I love you guys. We appreciate it, and thank you, Mr. Bay. We appreciate you.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure and a great time. I had a wonderful time, and all your listeners have a great. You know, it's been wonderful. Thank you.
Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, have a Merry Christmas, a Happy Holidays, Happy New Year, and we'll see you on the flip side. Have a good night.